Okay, hi everyone. We may get started here, and thank you for joining us, everybody, and thank you for joining Pat Williams, Managing Director, Revolver Resources. And what we just wanted to achieve here is to just get a bit of a company update, and also, friends, there's nothing like seeing to believe it. And if you see right behind Pat right now, you will see that that is the camp. And Pat, welcome and thank you for making your time today.
Yeah, hi Greg. Thanks for making time to get me on.
Yeah. Hey, Pat, I have to start with the front and center, I suppose. Maybe just show everyone, if you could just swivel your camera a little bit, about the camp.
Yeah. So it's not a 5-star Airbnb, but
it's not a Four Seasons. I'm good.
No, that's exactly right. So this is it's very cookie cutter, Greg. So more of the same. Each of these rooms behind me are bedroom vans. I think again, some of the nuances where we're in Cape York, we're in far north Queensland, and that characterises a number of things. There's a DNA of people up here who are built to work in this environment. They're a long way from anywhere. They just get stuff done. They're very skilled people. A lot of people from this part of the world are the basis of a fly-in, fly-out network all around the country, Western Australia, Central Queensland, Mount Isa. But there's a lot of agitation because they want a job close to home. So not only do we have great skill sets, but we have that DNA that you're born from here, you grew up here, you know what it's like. And just as a small example, these are shipping containers. So we've gone for the shipping container option. Yes, we're in far north Queensland. We're not really in cyclone. We're not in a cyclone shadow because we're not on the coast. But thankfully, it rains a lot. It rains a lot. The wind blows a lot, and the fortification of a building like this is just a lot more relevant. So we've accessed this type of accommodation. There are 3 bedrooms. They're just air conditioned, tiny tin sheds, really.
Right.
And it's a very humble dirt floor, open covered kind of existence. But the people that work here rate it as an extremely pleasurable work environment. So we kind of roll with it and make the most. It's not a 5-star glamorous large company camp. We make no bones about that. Because that's not what attracts people. People from this area want to live in this area. We're offering a day shift, work week, go home on the weekend, and using people in the community. So, it's been a very important part. It's a small project, Greg. 35 people in operations, 40 people maximum to build it. It's not a big operation, but, at the core of it, is a very, very lucrative commercial opportunity, and I don't know if the listeners have been privy to some of the research. The guys at Pitt Street Research, they're talking about a plus $20,000 copper price in the coming year or two. I mean, that's kind of mind-boggling.
Right.
That puts the revenue from this tiny little project at Dianne above $500 million. It's kind of exceptional. So, it's there. We're at the doorstep. I mean, the listeners today will hear about where we're up to. And, this camp now accommodates a minimum of 20 people in the sheds. We'll have some vans coming in, so about 26 people. So from this time next month, we don't need 26 people on day one, but we start the ramp up, and we start going from there. A lot of earthworks. We put out a release, I think, yesterday. There'll be another one next Monday that starts to quantify the really clever work we've done. Some good 3D images, earthworks followed by the process plant. So it's layering out, it's getting going. and using this fabulous kind of dry season that we have here at the moment to get this project up off the ground.
Yeah. Hey, Pat, and what you're touching on, or one of the attractions from our point of view, is that this is a very buildable, achievable project as far as it's not too big, and also having access to this workforce. Sure, it's one thing to build a mine, it's another thing to actually operate. And that's where we feel like the Revolver has an edge. Do you feel the same way?
Oh, look, Greg, I'm 59 years of age. There are better things in life to do than torture yourself with undertakings. This is a culminating part of my career. My business partner, Paul McKenna, and I founded this company 10 years ago.
Right.
And yes, it's taken a while to get here. We were exploring. COVID came. The Dianne project came along, and we started to look at that and went, this is a remarkable, company building opportunity. So
right.
It's small. Everything about the Dianne project is small, Greg. Unfortunately, we don't have Wi-Fi reception there, but and in the release next week, for the first time, the listeners will see a good 3D representation. You can throw a cricket ball across the pit. It's small. Everything about Dianne is compact, except the bank balance.
Exactly.
It's 1 million tons of ore, a little bit more than 1 million tons of ore. It's going to make 15,000 tons of copper at least over a 3-year period. 15,000 tons of copper at 22,000 US a ton. It's mind-boggling. That's $500 million Australian dollars. So, and we would and again, to put some timeline on that.
Yeah.
We start to. I mean, we've been doing small amounts of work here. This is where the good investment funds came that you guys helped us with in February. And we've continued not only with the early procurement, the design, the planning and ramp up, but the camp's here now. So there's a lot of work that we've been quite frugal. I'm here directing traffic. I don't manage it from afar. I don't have a comfortable armchair anywhere. I'm sitting on a $10 plastic Bunnings chair. So, we run it all from site. We're very hands-on. We kind of start towards the end of next month. And by Christmas, so that's 6 months away, we'll have constructed the new landform. It's a very, very clever, intricate design. You'll see it in the release next week. We'll have leach pads built and we'll have ore on the leach pad. So you kind of go, I thought a mine construction would take, months and years.
Sure.
No, we are aggressively targeting, 6 months we'll have ore on the leach pad. That then does its natural thing. Within a month, we'll start to see the blue copper solutions come out. That will build up in the process, and 3 months after that, we'll be making copper. So it's kind of, it's almost.
Pat, I said it's music to my ears, but it's actually money to my ears. So there you are.
Yeah. Look, and okay, we're in North Queensland. Go back to where we started. We will experience some wet weather over summer, but
sure.
The key milestones for us is you and anyone out there that's built or constructed, anything, you get your groundwork done before the rain. Once you can kind of lock up, you can do anything in the weather. So that's the target we're aiming for. We want the bulk earthworks done. Rain comes here a little bit before Christmas, but mostly from January onwards. So we've got a good 6-month run. It's 800,000 cubic metres. It's all doable. Equipment's lined up. We got. I was actually going to do this call from the front seat of an excavator just behind the kitchen there, but I thought it might have given the wrong impression. I can't operate. But
I think Sean would love
that. We've got equipment here. We've got equipment coming. We're not short of people, skills, and the right equipment to get this going.
That's great. Hey, Pat, just talk to us to the degree that you can a little bit about financing.
Yeah, look, it's been a journey,
Yep.
and I don't know, your listeners out there and the investors in the business are they're sophisticated investors. They know
Yep.
what business is like. We've learned some things. What we've learned very clearly over the last 18 months is there's universal regard for what the Dianne Project is. Absolutely. Okay. There was a mistaken understanding from a lot of people that they could just come on in and take it. Here's a few dollars, take the terms and leave it. You're a small company. What are you going to do? Just take it. So there are many, many, many what I would call egregious or imbalanced, sources of funds out there. And we tend to get those because we're a small company and people assume that we're lost and rudderless. So
Right.
as we've got evidence over 12 months or more, we've been
Right.
very frugal, small amounts of money on great terms, generally non-dilutive. You twisted our arm and we took some equity at a low price. So, but
That's okay.
it
We're
was
negotiators, Pat. Yeah.
it was a small amount though, Greg.
Right.
We're not going to fund this project and smash our shareholders.
No.
I'll give you that commitment. And we think that that's also why it's attractive is, the shareholders are the family that support us. They believe in us. They might be here for a short time or a long time. And we've got a responsibility to carry that investment. And we do not intend to end up with billions and billions of shares on the record.
Right.
That is not what we're going to do. So we've sought to get funding that ticks a very small number of important criteria. So one is it's funded at the project level.
Right.
So we're leaving the company share structure alone. There's no great big, I don't know what our market cap is. To be honest, I don't look at our share price. So, we're probably 25 million bucks. If we went and borrowed 30, everyone's going to go, oh no, we've been blown out. Not so. We're funding it down at the project level. We're funding it with debt. And we're funding it with a partner, a single partner. We want 30 million bucks, which is 20 to build, 10 to commission, operate, and get first revenue. So we don't want to keep looking for little bits. We just want the whole lot committed.
Right.
We've looked for one party. We've tried to get two. Fine. It's a small amount of money relatively. So
yeah, sure.
We don't want too many lenders because they all end up
too many chefs in the kitchen. Yep.
Jostling with each other. We're busy people. We want to build a project. We want one relationship. We found that. And the type of relationship we've got is the marketing and sales contribution. So if anyone's going to squeeze the lemon to get the most juice out of it, people that sell the product will.
Right.
So there's been heavy amounts of interest in the market from metal traders and commodity metal commodity sellers. So it's a fabulous relationship. It works on many levels. It ticks all of the shareholder and company trajectory boxes. Non-dilutive. It's at the project level. It's debt, and that means that after we pay back the loan, and when the terms come to light, you'll kind of go, that's remarkable. Because when I talk about the potential $500 million of revenue.
Sure. Why would you want to dilute? Yeah.
We keep it. It's all for Revolver. So it's not equity at the project level. We're not giving away the farm to get and we're not risking, the company to get the project funded in a way. So we've learned a lot. I'm sorry it's taken longer, but it's all good things come in time.
Yeah, and what
I think we're rewarded for the not just the patience. We're not sitting here waiting, but we've selectively sought to go, that's not a win-win, that's not a win-win, that's a win-win, let's go.
Right. And so, and obviously we have to be, respect the fact that, you're in DD and confidential discussions, but it's fair to say that there is one party and it's progressing nicely at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great.
Actually, they're great.
Yeah.
There are a number of horses in the race still, and we do hope to get an identified party that we've done most with over the line in the next month.
Okay. That's great to hear, because obviously that's probably the biggest sticking point right now. So we know that financing is progressing nicely, the project is progressing nicely, and Pat, thankfully, we totally control it, but the copper price also is progressing nicely right now. Last I checked this morning.
That's right, and it's a couple of people have said to us, the longer this project stays in the ground, the more it's going to be worth. So, but there's a point in time where we have to, get liquidity in that. So
yes, and as great investors know, you do have to sell at some point. So that's absolutely. Okay, Pat, I really appreciate we all really appreciate your time, especially that, very mindful that you're up on site. Anybody that's listening, do you have any questions, or can you, or if not, feel free to WhatsApp me a question. Just someone's asking, first revenue potential, is it within inside of 12 months? It's a very specific question. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So that's, and I think that any approvals still necessary?
No.
Okay.
I chuckle there. Look, absolutely no, categorically.
Okay.
Not at. I had a team just leave earlier on. We are effectively, in the eyes of the regulator, Environment Department, Mines Department, we are running an operating mine.
Right.
So although there's no copper coming out of the ground, all of the stewardship, the measuring, the monitoring, the testing, all the monthly process and procedure, it's all happening. So that wouldn't be happening if we were held up, kind of waiting. So there is absolutely no more to be done on that front.
Right. Pat, someone is asking, are there any opportunities to extend to do exploratory drilling at Dianne?
Yeah, look, most certainly. Yeah.
Okay.
There's I'm not a geologist, and I really value the work they do, but there's a favourite saying that I like, that this is not a unicorn. What happened here, is not Mother Nature just doesn't drop 15,000 tons of copper out of the sky. It's a part of a system.
Right.
And the journey for Revolver at Dianne is characterised by the fact that we just never had enough money to find the rest of it. We spent a little bit. We've explored the region, and we know there's potential. We've put some holes nearby, and we've put holes into the deposit to get the mine plan done. So all up, we just have not done it justice. Every quality geologist that we have on the project, Bryce, the guys at Mining One, Nick Tate, they're all going, the system continues. You just got to go find it. So, we're certainly going to be using the open pit for looking for the off. It's not directly below.
Right,
okay?
Sure.
So it could be, shifted off 20, 30, 50 metres. The other part about it too, if you look on Google Earth, there's a pit. There's a pit from the old mine, and it's presented a situation where you can't get to some areas to drill. So while we kind of go, oh, it could be there, you just can't access on the ground level the right position to drill in those locations. So we will certainly, over the next 2 or 3 years, be using the open pit to look for depth extensions. And can I say that the operation is not taking all of the resource. We published a JORC resource. There's another 5,000 tonnes of metal from the pit floor below. Now, that's transitioned into the sulfide ore. It doesn't process on the heap leach. So the job's not done when we hit the pit floor, because we've still got 5,000 tonnes. Now, if we don't find more, we will dig that out, crush it, DSO. So we're going to get another $100 million of revenue.
Right.
It's not in the business plan. It's not talked about. It's not quantified. But if we find more, we'll move the oxide plant and start treating the sulfide. And that's an exciting proposition. So
right.
there is no final chapter in this story yet. That's for sure.
Right. And Pat, and the other thing, and this is me just adding, is because you'll be at that point cash flowing, you don't need to hit the markets, do you?
We really wanted to execute this project going back. You know, I saw an article last night where Robert Friedland was interviewed 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And he was, being criticised for being outrageous, saying the copper price was going to get to $9,000 a tonne. And that was 2.5 years ago. We started the environmental baseline work 2.5 years ago. It was $8,000 a tonne for copper. So, it just goes to show you that, what happens.
That's called supply-demand imbalance, right, Pat?
Look, I mean, my observation broadly over 40 years in the game, Greg, is, the smart people at the table, the analysts just don't help us. We get to these environments. Fortune favours the brave. We took the opportunity. We've got ready. We've got prepared. 13,600 overnight, heading towards 15 and 20. We are in the perfect spot. And, we've got no crazy deals out there. We've got no overhead. We've got no dead weight in the company. It's just ready to get out and knock it out of the park.
Pat, that's a great note to close on. Thank you so much. Anybody else, if you have any questions that you think of after the fact, Pat is you're very generous with your time, and we'll make sure to get those answered for you. Pat, thank you very much, and good luck up there. Great to see you.
Good on you. Thanks very much, everyone. See you later.
Bye-bye.